think people under 35 are definitely feeling the squeeze. A lot of people are mentioning, feeling almost like they're in a boiling point.
We've got updated numbers. It's not 27.6%. It's now 32.8.
Wow.
It seems like it's like a gladiator fight. It feels a lot like that in the housing market right now. It's getting beaten in the face by boomers, retirees, and investors. We're not doing anything to untangle the web that we've built that is the commoditization of shelter. I think we're seeing some of the late stage effects of calling American dirt the best investment in the world for too long.
You're dealing with actual people here. It's not just a number, a statistic, or something like that. It's actual humans trying to get a home, and how
Get
difficult.
shelter, Tim. Get
Yes,
shelter. What are we going to do when rent and mortgage both are unattainable?
Zach, definitely a pleasure to have you on foreclosure.com podcast today. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for taking the time. We definitely appreciate having you. And I'm excited to learn a little bit about yourself, learn a little bit about some of the things that you've been teaching to your followers, and see if you can share some knowledge with our audience as well.
Yeah, Tim, thanks for creating the space, brother. Looking forward to this combo.
Yeah. And for people that don't know Zachary, he is a real estate agent based in Delaware. He's has a unique perspective on the housing market, and I thought he would be a great person to interview, because there's a lot of noise out there that talks about people not being able to afford to buy homes, and there's a lot of reality in that. I think even with my own peers in the 30s and 40s definitely are feeling it as well. But I really think the pinch is on the younger generation. And some of the things I really like about Zachary's content is that he doesn't focus on the noise, and he really tries to create a genuine path towards home ownership. And I think that's a genuine, every time I've spoken to him and see his content, it comes from the heart. And so I'm hoping you can share some of that knowledge with the rest of us today, Zach.
Dude, I'd be happy to. It's a wild market. And you said it yourself. My peers are in the same boat.
Yeah.
The fact is, though, our peers are just getting the second wave, third wave of what's been building. And you're right. The younger generation, Gen Z, has been struggling the hardest.
Yeah. Well, I know your audience knows you, but for my audience, can you tell a little bit about yourself, your journey to
Sure.
real estate, where you are today, and how we got here?
Yeah, I'll try to speed run it. So I got into the military when I was 17 years old. I was overseas the very next year, Afghanistan, did a tour, did about 6 years active within the Army National Guard, actually. And after that, I didn't know what to do. A lot of military. First path is let's go into law enforcement. So that's what I did too. I
Hmm.
got into the Department of Corrections. I was there for a little under a year before a woman by the name of Rosalia came to me, who was a realtor, and said, "You need to get out of prison. You need to go do something with the personality that you have."
Yeah.
And I ignored her a few times until finally getting my license, finally getting into real estate. Got Rookie of the Year at Keller Williams back in 2016, and since was able to build a team, #1 team in Southern Delaware. I got to speak on stages with the Tom Ferrys of the world. I've been able
Yeah.
to meet the Gary Vaynerchuks and interview the Grant Cardones. Like I felt like I got to the end goal of like a capitalism influence. I had all these connections, like Realtor.com and Fortune 500 are hitting me up for interviews. Like, whoa, I'm like 28. This is crazy. And then 2022 hits.
Mm.
And I have a bit of an awakening personally that matches with the shift happening in the housing market and the economy. Nobody can afford a home anymore. Advice doesn't really work anymore.
Hmm.
And we have an entire generation that seemingly is being ignored because they do not have financial strength at this point because it just got started and have no power in politics to make actual palpable change. And my goal with this platform now is to grow a large enough platform that we can create a lasting change that will result in the next generation's ability to afford living here in America.
That's great. Yeah, no, I was just watching one of your videos about, how to buy a house by 2030, and there was some great practical steps in there that I think the younger generation should really listen to. Um, so, a lot of people have that mindset. I'm doing everything right, but I still can't afford a home. What's actually going on right now? What's causing this affordability crisis from your perspective? And what are you seeing in markets like Delaware that might relate to trends across the country as well?
Well, the simple answer is greed. Greed is what's happening. We are seeing consistent and constant greed from corporate capitalists and brokers, as well as the billionaires and oligarchs that are running our government. I
Hmm.
won't put it lightly. From lobbying that's been
Yeah.
untethered since 2010 from Citizens United, which led us to a world where we no longer have any say on what's getting passed in our own legislative halls, to the greed that we saw point blank as 2021, 2022, 2023, and beyond, everything's getting obnoxiously more expensive,
Yeah.
all while wages don't increase,
Yeah.
all while no laws get passed to help curtail it, all while new builds aren't happening that are affordable, and we're still only building McMansions. And as of today, dude, 1 out of 3 homes is being bought by an investor.
Yeah.
Greed is keeping affordable housing off the market because it's the best thing to cash flow. It's much more profitable to build bigger homes, and the profit margins are the biggest thing I would point back to. Look at D.R. Horton, look at KV Homes, look at K. Hovnanian, look at Ryan, and look up profit margin 2023, profit margin 2024. It was some of the more profitable years of their company's history,
Yeah.
all while the normal everyday person is getting priced out, and they build a shitty home. So there's that too.
Yeah, no, I again, I think people under 35 are definitely feeling the squeeze, and above 35, I mean, it's just a lot of people are mentioning, feeling almost like they're in a boiling point in some ways, right? And your article where you mentioned, I think it's called The Elephant in the Room, where
Yeah.
you mentioned 1 in 3, was it 27% of the people that are purchasing homes are for profit right now? I
Yeah, and that number's up now. Once I wrote
mean,
that we got updated numbers. It's not 27.6%. It's now 32.8.
wow. Wow. I mean, how is that changing the environment for first-time home buyers? Like, how can they compete? And as a young person, like, what can they do that's to stay in the game?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I've toiled with that question quite a lot. And it seems like it's like a gladiator fight. So like in a gladiator dome, they had this time in history where people were literally enslaved to fight. If they win, they get to leave. If they lose, they stick around until they're either dead or they win. It feels a lot like that in the housing market right now, where the first time home buyer is just tethered into this country, trying to win, trying to get ahead. And they're going out time and time and time again, just getting beaten in the face by boomers, retirees, and investors. And I don't know exactly what the answer is going to be logistically and realistically. I think there's actual
Yeah.
solutions that could happen. I don't think they're realistically going to happen. But when we talk about the ways that we think, okay, what if we lowered rates? Well, if we lowered rates, that's like somebody walking into your Coliseum room before the fight and saying, hey, I got this sword for you. And you're going to get pumped up. You're like, oh my God, a sword? I've been fighting with my fists. I am so winning. I'm so getting that win. I'm so getting out of here. Let's get a house. And then you walk out into the arena and you realize every single person, boomer, investor, retiree, also has that sword. Everybody gets the lower rates. So I don't think that solves it. Then you look into first time homebuyer programs. Well, they're sporadic, they're county level, state level programs, nothing federal. And then, of course, you just look at the legislative build out. We don't have any executive orders that are forcing mortgage rates to be lower for first time buyers, doing anything to get into the weeds of the building system to get builders incentivized to build more affordable homes. We're not doing anything with our intrinsically racist and discriminatory zoning laws put in place in 1971. We're not doing anything to untangle the web that we've built that is the commoditization of shelter. And I think we're seeing some of the late stage effects of calling American dirt the best investment in the world for too long.
Wow. Um, that's very real.
Unfortunately, it's dark,
Yeah.
but
It's yeah, I mean, we try to stay light and optimistic as much as we can, right? And focus on opportunities. And I think that's why education and being aware of the data that's out there is so important for people that are searching for a home, right? Because some people they really want a home and they need a home. People that have families are getting started, starting their careers. So I get it, and that is the reality. I think is pushing a lot of people away from purchasing a home, and you can see that in mortgage applications. You can see that in home sales right now. When you look back at where they are in comparison, I think they're at the same level as they were in 95 or something along those lines. So there's got to be a path forward. And I like a lot of your content because you are educating people. And maybe it's not on the short term horizon, but maybe down the horizon a little bit. I know the video is how to buy a house by 2030, I believe.
Mhm.
So what are some practical advice that people can start working on now to find a path towards home ownership, you know?
Well, the first thing is going to be examining your own finances. For a
Mm.
lot of people, it's going to be a math game. And that's the go no go of this scenario. And that's where my frustration really bottlenecks is just the go no go of income. It used to be, do you have Wawas where you're at?
Oh yeah, it came in hot.
Love a Wawa.
Yeah. Oh,
Love, yeah, because you're down. Yeah, they just recently started showing up last decade or
yeah.
so, right?
Last 10 years, yeah, for sure.
So
And
what's
then,
your favorite food item over there at Wawa?
oh, that's a great question. I mean, I'm the coffee there I actually love.
Okay, you're a coffee guy.
I'm a coffee guy, more so than anything. But no, I mean,
Heard.
I've had a lot of I'm surprised every time I eat there that I'm like, this is actually really good.
It's some of the best gas station food on the
Yeah,
planet.
for sure.
But
Down here in
Wawa
South
from
Florida, there's a lot of like little old bodegas. I don't know what you call them. They've just been there forever. And you'd be surprised that like around here you could find some great gas station food, sandwiches.
dude, an old bodega sandwich sometimes hits heavy.
Yeah.
Sometimes hits real good. But with like Wawa, for example, it's a gas station deli.
Hmm.
I had four clients in 2020 and 2019 that worked single income at Wawa, and I was
Wow.
able to get them a house.
Wow.
Now we have police officers that can't get a house due to their income. Now we have nurses that
Yeah.
can't get a job or a house because of their income. So
You're
we're getting farther and farther down the rabbit hole of the math, the
mm,
simple math of income to qualification. The National Association of Realtors said a starter home right now, 360 plus $1,000 on median in America. That takes $108,000 in median income a year to afford.
wow.
So right there is the big problem. But let's assume we're over that hump. Let's assume we are over that hump and the wage problem isn't the problem for the person listening. The four steps are simple. You need to have a 620 credit score or higher. I always suggest getting up to a 680 so you can qualify for all programs, first time home buyer alike, as well as your local and state programs. The second biggest qualification is going to be your job. You have to have been at your job for a year, 2 years. Step three, though, is where are you going to buy? So if you've been at your job for 2+ years, you have decent enough income, your credit score is above 640, 680, you might qualify for a house. So now it's about where are you going to go? You know how many people commented under my video on how to buy a home by 2030 asking, does this advice actually mean anything in California? Nope. Sure doesn't. You need
Yeah.
to leave.
Or New York City
Yeah,
or even Southeast
Manhattan,
Florida.
Boston,
Yeah.
Boise, Idaho. Like, no,
Yeah.
you need to leave.
All of those
And
pandemic markets where people flooded into, and no, I saw it down here firsthand as well. So and it's interesting to see it from your side because you can feel the passion behind it, that you're dealing with actual people here. It's not just a number, a statistic, or something like that. It's actual humans trying to get a home and how
get
difficult it is.
shelter, Tim. Get
Yes,
shelter.
shelter. Yeah.
What are we going to do when rent and mortgage both are unattainable?
Yeah. No, something has to shift here.
Yeah. So, back to the four steps. So again, income being the biggest bottleneck. We
Yeah.
have our credit at a decent amount. We're making enough, and then we have a job that we're paying taxes on that is going to give us a mortgage from a bank potentially.
Okay.
Now we need to know where we're going to move. I love an area like Delaware because we are one of the top 25 affordable states. You can look at West Virginia, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas to get like into the weeds of affordability. Good
Yeah.
luck with a job. But after that, it becomes about what kind of home.
Hmm.
And I truly believe a new construction townhome is the best equitable bet to get into your very first property. I too think that distressed properties, foreclosed homes,
Yeah.
short sales are going to become a lot more prevalent. Not a 2008 level prevalent, but there's going to be a lot of people who simply can't afford to upkeep their home anymore.
Mm.
Tim, how many realtors did you see? There's a piece of advice that went around from 2020 to 2023. Every time I heard it, I wanted to choke him with both of my hands politely with God, like a Jesus choke.
Yeah, yeah, like a nice little.
Yeah, like a scolding of the Pharisees type anger.
Okay.
And the advice was, "Oh, marry the home and date the rate.
Mm.
That rate will go down.
Yeah.
Get the home."
Mm.
And you know how many people are sitting in their homes right now wondering when that day's going to come?
Yeah. Yeah.
Struggling.
No, I get it.
So, from our angle as realtors, I think we partially created the problem because we're always looking for a sale. We're always looking for commission. We'll push somebody into a home. I think new construction companies are a bit of the issue because they're building for profit and affordable homes aren't the most affordable thing to build. And it's limiting the opportunity of someone to follow the path I just said. Because even if you get all your ducks in a row, I talk with people on a weekly basis that make 120K a year, and I got to get them set up to get ready to buy a home.
Yeah.
It used to be you could be a financial fool, and if you made 120K, we can get you into a house. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying financial fools should get their way into a house, but I do think shelter should be more obtainable. Where do you see the opportunity coming from? Like in the next few years, where does it soften?
Well, I mean, these are all amazing points, and I don't know the answers. I focus on, my side of real estate is a lot in building partnerships more so than the actual boots on the ground, can you say? But I've spoken to enough professionals around the country where I'm starting to see trends all around, and it's definitely the main thing is that real estate is very hyper local, right? So you can be in Florida, and for example, you look at our market, it's still prices are still increasing moderately in the southeast Florida from Palm Beach to Miami. But if you go directly across to Cape Coral, it's one of the worst
It's
housing markets in
crashing.
the country. It's crashing, legit
Yep.
crashing, like 20, it's up there with Austin. I think it
Do you
might
know
be.
that Florida has 17% of our country's inventory?
I did see that levels, and it's crazy because it wasn't that long ago where we had a third of the amount of inventory for sale. It was like in the 50, and
Holy
still then was a
cow.
high number, right? Florida just is a house, It's interesting though, because the more I learn about what's going on now, the only way that I can understand what's going now is looking backwards, right? And start to understand what happened in 2008 and before then, and really even in the 70s with the inflation and when rates were, 16, 17, 18%, right? Because that's
Yep.
kind of what it feels like you're competing with or where we might be going if things don't shift. Um, and it's interesting because there are these markets across the country that have very quick, I guess, high, what's the best way to say it? Their equity increases very rapidly, right? Florida, we saw a huge boom in the market in from 2020 to 2023, right? Where
Yeah.
the rest of the country started to slow down in 2022, but I think people were still flooding into Florida. And now you're starting to see that everybody's trying to list their property and people aren't buying at the prices where their neighbors sold 2 years ago. I definitely don't know what's going to happen. I do know that this administration is more pro foreclosure, and is starting to get rid of some of the safety nets that were in place to help people that were dealing with
Yep.
some of the COVID issues
Yep.
initially.
That happened in
Um,
the VA as well.
VA moratoriums, FHA
Yep.
moratoriums are ending. And in some ways, I think that might be a good thing to reset the balance. But again, these are real people. These are people that are going through hardships that haven't gotten back on their feet. So it's challenging, and that's why I think we always try to focus on the opportunity and try to help people out of a tricky situation. People going into foreclosure, there's a certain window to where you could potentially help them,
Yep. The
So I
list
know a
pendants
lot of.
period.
And then the younger generation is really interested in wholesaling, which has been around for a long time. And we see a lot of people utilize our database to find off-market distressed properties. But no, I don't know the solution. I'm curious to see what happens. I feel like everyone's holding their breath to kind of see what the next step is. But yeah, I mean that is the American dream for sale, right? Like if we have
Is
we
the
lost.
American dream even available?
Yeah, yeah, no, like that's. It's scary to think like that, right?
It is, and I want to caution anybody listening. There's a difference between realism and nihilism. Was it nihilism? Being being
Mm.
somebody who's just perpetually looking into the dark and only sees darkness.
Yes, yes.
Nihilist is the
Nihilist,
word.
yep.
Niacin is in like those little pads that go in your
Yeah,
in your
yeah,
gum.
yeah.
Being a nihilist and being a realist oftentimes look similar in this market. And it is difficult to look the facts in the eye. Like you just brought one up, Tim. I think that's a lovely point. We're getting rid of some older COVID regulations, some other Freddie Mac regulations, and other VA regulations that prevent foreclosure from happening to families.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, argument is that's going to increase supply. It's going to get people who couldn't afford out and somebody else who can't afford in. I understand how that works. I understand the math.
Yeah,
But that same exact veteran or whoever is struggling to pay their mortgage, like you said, is a human, is a person
yeah.
that is facing the higher cost of living, just like all of us are. And God forbid you're military and your pay doesn't even move. You're on a fixed income and has been for the last 5 years, all while everything else around you got more expensive.
Yeah.
But with that math in place, the administration, the past administration, the administration before that, the administration before that, had the ability to solve the problem through building.
Mm.
We could build more affordable housing.
Yeah, yeah. No.
And instead of forcing the people out who barely are holding on to any little bit of the American dream, the people who have 80,000 units that they're cash flowing are the ones that are making the decisions. And that to me is a little jaded when you are talking about the decisions are coming from the people who are viewing and are living in this housing market a lot differently. Many people view it as this commoditized asset. And I know there's investors listening to your podcast and be like, screw this guy. I'm not anti investor. I
Mhm.
am anti institutional investor. I am anti BlackRock, Blackstone private equity.
Yeah,
I am
no.
anti 50 plus units just because for the heck of it, four vacation homes just because you can.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, a college grad can't get a job or a home. I
yeah.
do think there's an issue with that.
They're
Um,
yeah. I It's hard not to see that as an issue when you look at how much
yeah,
inventory institutional buyers have now. In just in since 2010, really, if you look at that short period, 15 years, the
yep.
increase is just, if you look at
And why is that? Why did it start in 2010, Tim? Why hasn't this been going on for 50 years, 60
that's,
years? It's because we got rid of regulations allowing them to do it.
yeah, no, it's,
We removed the guardrails that were protecting our population from the evil, greedy octopus coming out of the Federal Reserve building. This crazy, crazy little orchestrating billionaire coup, whatever you want to give this crazy cabal name. It's just greedy people that want to have more money set aside for themselves, for their next of kin, to have security for their kids, to be able to put them in a higher bit of education. They don't have to pay for college. Like, not all investing is inherently evil, but at a micro scale, scaled out, it becomes the macro problem,
hmm,
in my opinion.
yeah, no, these safety nets are definitely feel like they're getting cut down. And I used to live by, I don't know if it's a philosophy or how what you would call it, but I used to live by like leap and let the net appear, right? But things are changing. You can't, and that's why I think education and data, and really setting yourself up is something that's so important when you are trying to buy a home, right? Because sometimes it doesn't even make financial sense to buy a home right now. You could look at some markets and where you can what it's costing to rent versus buy. You might have to do the math twice, but I think that's where distressed real estate
Do you
can
mean do the
be.
math twice to double check or double your income to see if you qualify then?
Yeah, yeah. Doubling your incomes, that's always
Double your income, give it to the next person. Yeah.
making more money is always the solution one, I guess. But yes, no, solution two
You're right. You're right.
and not
Make,
easy.
making more money is the solution.
Yeah.
You're right. And that's where I can tell you right now, in the next 5 years, we are going to see Gen Z absolutely tear that to shreds because they do not want to side hustle themselves to death.
Yeah.
It used to be a single income, definitely a dual income, like the term DINK.
Yeah.
Dual income, no kids.
Yep, yep, yep.
Dude, like
I'm jealous.
2012, 2006, 1998, you
Yeah,
were a dink.
yeah.
Didn't matter what you did. Like you were good. You were fine. And it's different now because people don't make enough. So
I
you're right, making money is the solution, but I believe the Gen Z generation is going to be one of the first that just completely puts a stop to this idea that they need to grind away 60 hours of their week every week to
mhm.
avoid going out and seeing the grass and the sun and their friends
Yeah,
to be able to potentially survive. Like when I got started, and Tim, I know you too, like we're older. Like when
yeah.
we got started, we could run toward a vision. It
Hmm.
was like they put us at the starting line and we're like, oh, I can get that. If I get up early, if I work these weekends, sacrifice a holiday or
Yeah,
two,
yeah, yeah,
I can get there. And now that running, right? We were running towards something. Now it feels like people are running away from something.
yeah,
It's like they're being chased by the killer in the park.
yeah.
It's a different motivation. They're still running, but it's a different run. Like that run for me, it was fun. Like I was getting progress. I was getting somewhere. I could see the math moving in the direction I needed it to move in for me, my family, and my future child. And now I look into the eyes of my future child. I'm like, do you need to like get a job or
Yeah.
is there going to be jobs?
Put you to
You
work.
send them to
Yeah,
college? Like, what do we do? And that's where I'm still clueless as a dad. It's just like, how do I set them up? Should I buy a lot of land now and let it appreciate? Maybe.
I mean
What do you think?
that's always seems like a good bet, right? Land, but no, these are great questions, great thoughts. As a father myself, it's scary out there. You don't know exactly what you're prepping your kids for, and you're 100% right. I'm an older millennial, I guess you can call it, and a lot of the way I grew up as far as the workforce was nobody cares, work harder.
Hmm.
And I think people are coming to, I think really after COVID and people had a chance to really slow down, right? And think about that and they're like, wait a minute, that's wild. People are working harder and harder and they're still not getting to where they want to be.
Not
Does it
even close.
yeah, and that's the scary thing. And I, know too many people that I call it FOMO bot in 2021, 22. And down here, there was a huge increase when you buy a house that probably was worth 300,000 for 550,000. One thing people don't think about right off the bat is the taxes, right? And how much that's going to increase, right? They don't put that in that big increase, right? When they're doing the math. And then we start dealing with hurricanes and
Oh my God,
insurance costs
insurance down there in Florida
and
got
and
crazy.
and it's scary. People are going into debt. So, my friends and family are having trouble, and it's interesting because you look at what is coming next, right? How do you prepare yourself? How do I prepare myself and to set my kids up with a good foundation? And it's not easy. It's not easy. And I worked for a long time and it's have a good job and it's still hard. So I think about people that are working multiple jobs, 50, 60, 65 hours a week plus, doing two jobs, getting done with their job and then going to do handyman work or getting done with their job and
Right,
being, doing Uber driving. I mean,
right.
it's the reality of today. And it's not saying it's fair, but it's the reality. And some people, I watched your interview with Tom Ferry just because I'm a fan, and I did see his pushback a little bit with, it's always been hard,
Oh,
but
we're gonna get on again because I wanted to push him harder.
I know, I
I
bet,
caught a lot of flack for not pushing on him harder.
I bet. But the reality is, there are multiple. It's always been hard in some way or form, but yeah, it does feel like it's getting a little bit harder. But
But when that hard work, like for example, is met with you're working 5 years hard as you can for a job that isn't paying you anymore, that will replace you in a moment's notice, it's it seems like the job market, and maybe this is me being a bit more woo woo about it. Maybe I'm using hindsight and seeing a better world in the past, but it seemed like the job you worked at, it was a bit more like I want to be involved in this company. I like this company. I want to see it genuinely succeed. And so I'm going to give my best effort to do that. With the sidecar of if I put in hard work and do the thing I need to do, I'm going to get promoted and I'll get a better position and I'll make a little bit more. Maybe I'll have a career at this company. now we look at the students. Like you mentioned you're an older millennial. I'm a zillennial. I was like on the 2 year fringe of being Gen Z. So
Okay.
I got to grow up all the way to 18 without a smartphone in my hand and then
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
So I kind of got a little bit of both.
Yeah.
The Gen Z today, we have a 10% unemployment for those that don't have a degree. That's one of the
Wow.
highest we've ever had. And it's catching up if you do have a degree. It's 9.4% if you do. 51% of people under 30 are underemployed, or it's actually under 27. Under 27, 50% are underemployed, meaning they're
Wow.
higher qualified, they have more qualifications, I should say, than
Yeah.
what they're being paid.
Yeah.
And that to me doesn't scream the Gen Z's generation is not working hard enough. To me, it screams they worked really freaking hard and now they're not getting the results they were promised.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. When people call millennials lazy, I really think about that because I'm like, when I graduated high school, half my friends went and joined the military and served, because I graduated around 2002, 2004. And, so a lot of people went, it was right after 9/11. Things were, and I
No, it's
don't know
weird. You're
it's weird.
absolutely right.
Yeah, and
And
it's hard to say when people say that, and it's scary because there's not enough um I don't know, representation from our age groups that are
you're
making these
absolutely right. We
these
should be
regulations and rules.
screaming for the next generation because we've
Yeah,
seen it. We understand what they're looking at. We feared the same things. It's just now their fear is coming to realization. Their
yeah,
fear is it's real now. AI is here.
yeah,
Jobs are letting people go. Wages aren't going up. Home costs are going up. And just to walk through, like you said, going through 2001 buying a home, my producer, Sean, he's not here today. He's sick. Um, he and I've walked through a couple times, like his come up. He was born just after 2001, just after the dot-com bubble. So,
oh wow,
like you said, parents are in a bit of it's a weird world.
yeah,
Odd. Okay. He turned 7 during the 2008 housing market crash,
yeah,
or I'm sorry, 6 during the 2008 housing market crash. Then we flash forward to when he is 16. We are now introduced to the political world, like it or not, uh, being flipped on its head. We went from unity and vision to division.
yeah.
Simply, if you agree with that person causing division because you're on their side, that's fine, but it's division.
It is in some ways.
And
Yeah,
and we saw now what 12 years of that. In the middle of that, as they're graduating high school, they're told to go home for 2 weeks, and it turned into 2.5 years.
yeah,
Meanwhile, everything got more expensive. They lost contact with all of their friends, lost all social abilities, and now they're being told to get out there and just work harder.
yeah.
And it just doesn't seem
It's
plausible for a person who walked through that timeline to not be angry at the scenario.
yeah,
Because they're
no.
like, what is this?
And coming now as from a parent, right? Because I think about your producer Sean and that experience, right? Like it was my son, right? Having to go through that. But the reality is their parents went through all those stresses trying to figure out what to do, right? And that
Sure.
internal
Yeah,
stress probably went to into Sean in some way or form, right? Because
absolutely.
not
Thank you for
knowing
seeing
what you're
that.
gonna do with housing or a job, that puts a lot of strain not only on the person that's paying the bills, but also everybody in the household.
Yes.
Even if they're taking care of the kids, they feel that pressure. And that's what happens when you create a family. Is it does you're a unit, right? So whatever someone's hurting, you're all hurting, right? So I
Yes.
feel for
Amen.
Sean, and I feel for that, and I have plenty of cousins and kids who they're not kids anymore, but yeah, like they were graduating the year of COVID, and they couldn't play senior year of football, or they couldn't go to prom, and that was a very hard thing I think the entire world had to face, so that's the reality. And this has happened in history. I'm a big fan of Ray Dalio and looking back in
The
history.
changing of the world order.
I mean, it's not just changing the world order because I just finished that book and it's amazing, but it's a history book on economics. And if you really want to understand what's happening, you have to look further back than not only our lifetimes, but our parents' lifetimes and our parents' lifetimes in some situations. The
100%.
last time we had a big pandemic of this level in the States was in 1918, right? So that and a lot of things happened after that, right? So
A fellow history knower. No, you're right.
I'm
And
trying, and,
just
and
before
that's
that, we have 1913. We get our central bank put into place. And why that came into place is a whole can of worms. Then
yeah,
we have the globalization of the dollar in 44, then the
yeah,
detethering from it in 71, then the petrodollar in 74, and the deregulation of food, travel, everything, and the tax bracket shifts of Reagan. And then we have NAFTA and Glass-Steagall in Clinton. I mean, you can walk through them all. Again, it's removing of guardrails
yeah,
every single time. And you're right. We can't just live in the game we're playing right now without going back to see why the game was even created in the first place. How was this made to operate? How can I win in it? How can I play this game of capitalism and win? Because the cost of losing is dramatic. And what I feel is that there's a mathematically larger portion of individuals who are going to have to go through the losing before they ever even get a taste of winning. And contrary to any boomer take, that is not what the past generations went through. Usually by the age of 30, 35, world is kind of financially set if you've made some decent financial moves, got
yeah,
your career in place, married with 2.5 kids and a picket fence. Now we're seeing the median first time homebuyer age is 38 and climbing.
yeah.
And we have 12%, a number that used to be 50%, 1999, 51.2% of under 30-year-old adults in America were married and had a kid.
Mm.
I'm sorry, married and had a house, not
Married in that
necessarily
house.
a kid. Married and had a house. It's more important than a kid. Gotta have a house. Married and a kid. It was 50% had a house and were married. Now it's 12%.
Yeah, that
One out of two to one out of eight.
that's
And
shocking.
it is. It is. And I want to paint a brighter light around this darker topic of us understanding these truths, these facts, our history is the start of us being able to have a grounded conversation on what can change. Everyone wants to say, this is the solution, this is the solution, this is the problem, this is the problem. We all need to come together to discuss. We need
Hmm.
to have forums within our administration, economic forums that are put together to say, housing affordability is a crisis. How do we solve it?
Yeah,
That team
interesting.
needs to be set up yesterday, and it's just not being done. And it makes me bleaker and it makes me question everything about
Yeah,
what's going on when we clearly have problems that aren't being dealt with.
think logically and question everything.
Yeah. Yep. Mine's
Uh,
love Jesus and question everything, but I like yours too.
yeah, yeah. That's um, you know, it's easy to focus on everything that's going wrong in the country and the world and our society, right? But we gotta, there's a lot of people here that are probably watching this that feel, discouraged. And we got to figure out that there is some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. Like what would you say to people that are so discouraged? Like how do you give them a little sign of relief, some hope? What silver lining do you see and what's going on? Like because it is a scary reality in some ways for the younger generation, but at the same time, there have been scary times in the past. I graduated college in 2008, not really the best time to graduate, right? To find a job right in the middle of, but
Yeah,
that,
but devil's advocate, then we print money, rates drop, and home prices are cheap. So you had the opportunity after that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but it did, yes. And I'm not trying to use me, but there's always going to be hard times. So you got to focus on what can you do, right? Because you don't want to just curl up in a ball and stay in bed, right? That's not going to help anybody,
No.
right? So like, what can people do? And you mentioned a few of these things. I think your acronym desk, is that right?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah. The
think that's
employment savings and credit.
yeah, I think that's somewhere that people have to focus on and understand, right? Is there anything else that you would share with the younger generation that feels discouraged right now?
Yeah. There's two things you can do. Well, I'm gonna caveat both of these things with there's one thing you all need to do, and then there's two things you can do from there. The first thing that you need to do is understand that everything you know about yourself, know about your emotions, know about your current place in life is based off of what your parents, friends, schools, and people that were brought up with you told you about yourself. So you need to start with your own growth, a book,
Hmm.
Think and Grow Rich is a money one, Miracle morning routine one, compound effect, habit one, circle of habit one. You need to start working out. You need to start pushing your body, getting your physical body in shape. Could be yoga, could be physical fitness through lifting weights, could be kettlebells, doesn't matter. You go on a walk. We need to spiritually get ourselves back to the point where we know we are grounded in a firm foundation and truth about who we are as a person before I think we can make any firm decisions outward, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And for me, I spent years bullied. I was suicidal at 12 and 14. 14, I told my parents, and 17 again, tried to take my own life actually
Wow.
behind a vehicle. And it was because of how little I loved myself, because I was convinced by these perpetual bullies every day that I wasn't worth anything. Breeds into my adult life as this, oh, well, I need to prove them wrong.
Mm.
I didn't realize that's what I was doing. But in growing my entire business and waking up early and pushing it through the grind, I was still trying to convince some invisible bully that I was worth it. And I had to stop and I had to ground myself. And it took years of meditation, breath work, podcasts of very smart people, books written by very smart people, the Mel Robbins, the Andrew Hubermans of the world that really know their stuff, and to ground myself. And when you've gotten to that point in life, I think there's only two ways you can go. Young person listening. A, you fight like hell to make it. You create your business. You go into the trade. You put in the work. You don't consume yourself. You invest in yourself. You don't just go out and consume dumb stuff all the time. You're putting money for you in your accounts,
Mm.
not in your belly, not in your brain, not in the fun. I get it. It's not as fun to not have DoorDash come to your house. Just make a sandwich.
Yeah.
Like that little stuff doesn't seem to pile up, but it's not just the dollar sum, it's the mentality of being able to not consume and choose to invest, because that builds into your physical fitness, choosing to invest in your body versus consume your body. Goes into your marriage, choosing to invest in your marriage instead of consume away your spouse. It goes into every bit of life to be an investor, not a consumer. So I would say your one option after you've grounded yourself is to fight like hell to make it. The second option, I don't believe you should ever be the person who's just sitting in their bed wallowing, because there's always something that can be done. But if you're of the lifestyle that believes that mathematically there's just nothing that can be done, I would fight like hell against your local government. I would be talking to your local politicians. I would be getting with your representatives. I would be scheduling meetings with your lawmakers to discuss what's going on. You could send them my videos if you want. Anybody's to lay down the facts of what's actually happening, and God forbid what the next 5 years look like from it, next 10 years, next generation looks like from it. So I'd say fight like hell to grow yourself, or fight like hell to save the next generation, but start with fighting for yourself and getting your brain grounded, getting your spirit right, getting your body in shape, to know that you're coming from a foundation of true self-love and not ego. Because that, to me, is the worst route you can take, is anything that's fueled by the ego or greed that comes with capitalism, money.
Wow. Zach, I'm a little speechless right now. I don't know what to say. I mean, thank you for sharing, some very intimate things about yourself. I know that can't be easy, and much respect. And I'm glad you have fought like hell to get to where you are now, and to have this passion to share the knowledge that you're investing in yourself, and by learning and reading and taking care of yourself. I think that's so important. And yeah, 100% agree with you. Like you have to be an advocate of your own health, your own wealth, you have to be an advocate, because in life it's always going to be challenging. But no, those are some great words of wisdom from a younger millennial.
Yeah, man, I wish the words of wisdom could be different, to be frank with you. I wanted to be able to teach others how to do exactly what I've done.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell people you can be bullied through high school, kicked out of college, and be an army brat and get out and still make it as an entrepreneur. I wanted to prove that. I wanted to show that.
Well,
And unfortunately, the ladder that I climbed, I didn't realize the rungs were rotting out behind me. I can't tell someone to follow the exact same path I did because it won't work. And
Yeah,
that's where I get really frustrated with that system.
I get it. I mean, we're in a digital-based society now, right? You look at how much time people spend online in comparison to church or with friends or even at a bar. Like the amount of time has just dramatically consumed everyone's life. I think at all age groups too, you know.
And well, you know what's funny, dude? Every Gen Z individual and future Gen Alpha individual wants exactly what we had growing up.
Yeah.
Put the
Even
phones
probably
away,
before then. Yeah, even probably
community, like let's
yeah.
live together in harmony. Like not everyone was singing Kumbaya. I'm not saying that, but
You know, that's there's the silver lining then. You know, people want to fight more towards sustainable futures with, smaller
yeah, you got Gen Z
communities.
couples out creating gardens and
Yeah.
putting getting flip
No.
phones. It's like you guys are going backwards. They
Yeah.
want what we got.
Well, it's interesting because the younger generation, from my perspective, has more knowledge than both of our than our
Oh yeah.
generation and so on because they have so much more the ability, right? I mean, just what AI is doing to them and how it's what it's doing to everyone, but I think they understand it better than, let's just say, a boomer or Gen X,
Or
like
a millennial. Gen
even a
Z knows
millennial.
more
Yeah,
than
no, I'm more
I'm
my
learning from that generation all the time.
No, and you can feel it. You can tell that you represent that too because you're in that close knit age, I think, and I think that there are those crossovers between generations and where
Yeah.
people want to.
I akin it to like if you've seen an action movie, obviously, like have you seen one of those movies where they go to rob the bank,
Okay.
right?
Couple, yeah, I'm thinking a few.
Almost almost every single time they'll have this scene where like maybe they're not even trying to rob a bank, maybe they're robbing a jewelry store or something like that. And there's that moment where the star and the co-star and then the surrounding crews, like four or five of them, hit that moment where like the trigger gets hit. Security got called. They accidentally touched that one red laser and
Yeah,
then,
yeah,
and
yeah. Oh, yeah.
everything
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then that titanium wall starts dropping and then the star gets underneath first and then one of the co-members gets in and then the other person and then it's that co-star normally like oh my god Ryan can't die, Ryan can't get caught, and then he slides in just at the last second.
Yeah, yeah,
His hair almost gets caught underneath of
yeah,
it.
yeah,
That's me. That's how I feel. I am that person. I feel I am on the other side of the titanium wall like shoo, I made it. But by the
yeah.
time I got to brush myself off and be like shoo, and we're like wait, there's other people in there. We forgot
Well,
the other people.
no, I think sometimes you have to take a step back. I think the younger generation might want to slow down a little bit, maybe working until you die is not the best way of living, right? And like that's the way I grew up, but no one cares, work harder. Like that was it.
Yep.
Like and that's not really the
And
best for
who does
mental
that
health.
mantra benefit, Tim?
Nobody, only the
No,
person.
no, 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 no. It benefits people.
Oh, well, it benefits the employer.
It benefits the billionaires and the corporations
Yeah.
because it gets you to work hard at a position so you can grind at a micro, get the results that they need. And if you choose to leave, they'll find someone else to fill the position.
Yeah.
I think Gen Z just realizes that a bit more. I think the boomers especially romanticize their relationship with their career provider.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a lifer over here at Allstate. Like, who gives a shit? Like, good for you. Like, congrats. Like, I'm happy you're able to make a nice career out of it, but Allstate does not care about you.
Yeah.
Like, the
Yeah.
CEO does not know who you are. I view the same thing with politics. Like any political figure you follow, they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Not to say they don't care about you, but they don't know who you are, and they clearly don't care about your best interests at heart. And this is why, again, I go to the fight like hell in your localized politics to go after the people on the ground that can make change. Do you have congressmen and senators from your very state that go to DC and make these laws? We can fight to at least bring awareness. And that's my mission is bringing awareness to what's going on because we can, as millennials, Tim, we can ride this out.
Yeah.
We
No.
can ride this out. We'll be fine. In a decade or so, no matter what happens, if AI takes over, guess what? Foreclosures are still going to happen. People are still going to be listing their homes. AI
Mm.
is not going to get into that world,
Yeah.
right? We don't have to worry about the postgraduate employment rate. We don't have to worry about the opening market for the jobs for the white collar society. We don't have to worry about that being eaten up by tech and AI. We're going to be fine. We have a house. We have kids already. We're married. We're going to be fine. I truly worry about the slow step approach we're taking toward completely financially ostracizing the following generations.
Well, hopefully millennials is that generation with change that and helps, and
Yes.
I do see that and I pray for that, because there needs to be some change. Because the only constant in life is change. And I don't think we're on the right trajectory at this current time. But as we mentioned earlier, there's always silver lining in things that are very difficult. And I hope that the next generation learns.
Difficulty forces solution.
Yes.
The reason boomers were okay with being lied to by their politicians is because they were able to get a house and get married and get educated and go home and do their own thing. And they didn't have to worry about it. As long as they did what they were supposed to do and got home at the end of the day, they could live their life. They
Yeah.
were, and all of them will be the first. My grandpa will be the first one to tell you, yeah, we shot JFK. Like he'd be the first person to tell it. Like old people know politicians lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for some reason, nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
Now we're getting to the point where that very truth is leading to this generation not being able to financially breathe. And I think the silver lining is the incurrence of this problem being more at scale across an entire generation will lead to the need for change. There's a phrase of the pain of staying the same. Once the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of the change happens.
I like that.
And that's why I think we're starting to see little by little. Not saying Nepal is going to happen tomorrow in America, but
Yeah.
I think
But
slowly but surely we're
that's
getting
a great
closer.
example, though. That's a great example where Gen Z is just kind of enough is enough. No, I think that kind of when people are forced to do things, they're going to. So, well, Zach, this has been a great conversation, and I have so much more I want to talk to you about. I'm hoping we can do this again in the
Of
near
course,
future.
brother.
Um, for the audience that want to learn more about you and some of your teachings, how can they find you?
Teachings. I'm just throwing what I learn online, man. I'm
Good.
nobody. I'm
Yeah.
My name's Zachary Foust. I'm Zachary Loft on Instagram and TikTok. And we have our long form podcast where we get to reverse the roles and I get to interview folk like you,
Yeah.
called the Zach Foust Show on Spotify and YouTube.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, for everyone watching this, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. To stay ahead of the real estate game, if you want to sign up for our free foreclosure email alerts, go to foreclosure.com/alert. Again, I'm Tim Jones, and thank you for joining us today. Have a great one.